The nylon line snapped taut and I jerked the rod upward, laughing as the smallmouth base broke the surface in a silver arc. Allison hooped beside me, her voice bright against the quiet lap of water on the hull. Then she turned, still holding her own pole, and her face changed, eyes locking on mine with something raw and unguarded I had never seen before. "Ariana," she said, voice low enough that the wind almost stole it. "I can't pretend anymore. I'm in love with you." The words hit like a slap of cold lake water. My arms went slack. The rod dipped and the fish slipped free. For a heartbeat I could only stare at her, at the way the sunrise gilded her blonde hair and made her hazel eyes look almost golden. Allison, my straight church-going future mother of 3 best friends since freshman year, had just said the one sentence I had buried so deep I sometimes forgot it existed. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She stepped closer, the boat rocking gently under us. "I've been fighting it for years," she whispered. "Every time you laughed at my jokes, every time you stayed up talking until 3 a.m., every time you hugged me goodbye and I wanted to hold on longer. I told myself it was just friendship. I told myself I was broken. But last night, lying awake in the tent, I realized I can't keep lying to you. Or to myself." My pulse hammered in my throat. Part of me wanted to jump into the water and swim until my lungs burned. The other part, the part that had loved her silently since the night she cried on my shoulder after her high school boyfriend cheated, wanted to pull her against me and never let go. Instead I managed. "Allison, you're straight. You've always said you're straight." "I know what I said." Her voice cracked. "I know what everyone expects. My parents, my pastor, the whole damn town back home. But when I look at you, none of that feels true anymore." The boat drifted. Neither of us moved to cast again. I stared at the horizon where the lake met the sky, trying to find words that wouldn't shatter whatever fragile thing was happening between us. "You don't know what you're asking," I finally said. "If we cross this line, there's no going back. Your family, they'll never accept it. Mine barely accepts me." "I know." She swallowed hard. "But I'm tired of being afraid." I looked at her then, really looked, and saw the terror behind the courage. The same terror I had carried for years. And in that moment something inside me cracked open. I reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her cheek, and she leaned into my touch like she had been waiting her whole life for it. We didn't speak again until we motored back to shore. The silence was thick, electric. When we tied up at the dock, she took my hand and held it all the way to the truck. I didn't pull away. That night in the cabin, after we showered off the lake smell and changed into dry clothes, we sat on the porch swing with mugs of chamomile neither of us drank. The crickets were deafening. Allison spoke first. "I don't expect you to say it back tonight," she said. "I just needed you to know. I've spent so long pretending I didn't feel this way that I forgot what honesty felt like." I set my mug down. "I've loved you since sophomore year," I admitted. "The night you got drunk at Sarah's party and told me you wished you could be more like me. Brave enough to live honestly. I almost kissed you then. I didn't because I was terrified you'd hate me." She laughed, a small broken sound. "I wouldn't have hated you. I would have panicked. And then I would have run. Just like I've been running ever since." We sat there until the moon climbed high. Eventually she reached for my hand again, threading our fingers together. Her palm was warm, slightly callous from years of volleyball. Mine shook. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too." But when she leaned in and pressed her lips to mine, soft, tentative, tasting of mint and lake water, I didn't pull away. The kiss was brief, almost chaste, but it burned through every wall I had ever built. When we parted, her eyes were wet. "I don't know what happens next," she said. "Neither do I." We slept in separate beds that night, but the space between us felt smaller than ever. The next morning we drove home in near silence. Every mile marker felt like a countdown. When we pulled into my apartment complex, she turned off the engine and stared straight ahead. "I need time," she said, "to figure out how to tell my parents. To figure out who I am if I'm not the girl they raised." I nodded, throat tight. "Take the time you need. I'll be here." She looked at me then, eyes fierce. "Promise you won't disappear." "I promise." She kissed me again, longer this time, more certain, before she got out and walked to her car. I watched her taillights disappear down the street, heart hammering with equal parts hope and dread. For the next week we texted constantly. Late-night messages that started innocent and grew bolder. She sent me a photo of herself in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by crosses and family portraits, caption, "Trying to remember who I was before I knew I loved you." I replied with a selfie from my couch, caption, "Trying to remember how to breathe without you here." Then came the call that changed everything. It was Friday night. My phone rang at 11:47 p.m. Allison's name lit up the screen. When I answered, her voice was raw. "They found out." My stomach dropped. "How?" I told my mom. I thought if I just explained, if I showed her how happy you make me." She choked on a sob. She screamed at me, called me confused, said Satan was testing me. Dad took the phone and told me not to come home until I repent. "They're praying for me right now, Ariana." In the living room, with the whole prayer chain on speakerphone. I closed my eyes. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. I chose this. I chose you." But her voice trembled so badly I could hear the lie in it. She hadn't chosen yet. She was still standing at the fork in the road, one path leading to me, the other back to the life she had always known. "I need to see you," she said. "Tomorrow. Please." I told her yes. The next day she showed up at my door with red-rimmed eyes and a duffel bag. She didn't speak at first, just stepped inside and wrapped her arms around me so tightly I could feel her heartbeat against mine. "I told them I'm not coming back until they accept me," she whispered. "They said if I walk out that door, I'm no longer their daughter." I held her while she cried, held her while she shook, held her while the weight of what she had just done settled over us both. That night we lay on my couch, fully clothed, her head on my chest. She traced circles on my arm and spoke in fragments. "I always thought love would feel safe," she said. "Like coming home. But this feels like jumping out of a plane without a parachute." I kissed the top of her head. "We'll figure out how to land." But deep down I knew landing might not be possible. The days after Allison moved and blurred into a strange, fragile honeymoon. We cooked dinner together. Pasta with too much garlic, eggs burned on the edges, laughed at stupid TikToks, fell asleep tangled on the couch watching old movies. For the first time in my life I understood what people meant when they said love felt like breathing easier. But beneath the surface, the cracks were already spreading. Allison's phone buzzed constantly. Texts from her mother, "We're praying for your soul." From her brother, "You're breaking Mom's heart." From her pastor, "The door is always open when you're ready to repent." She read them in silence, then deleted them without replying. I pretended not to notice how her shoulders tensed every time the screen lit up. One evening she came home from work, still at the same marketing firm she'd been at since college, and found me on the balcony staring at the city lights. She wrapped her arms around me from behind. "You're quiet tonight," she said. I turned in her arms. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop." She flinched. "You think I'm going to run. I think you're human. And humans get scared." She looked away. "I'm terrified every single day. But I look at you and I think, maybe I can be brave enough." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. That weekend we drove to the coast, just the two of us. We walked barefoot on the sand until the tide chased us back, then sat on a driftwood log watching the waves. The air smelled of salt and possibility. "I used to dream about this," she said. "Not the beach. Just being free. Being with someone who sees me, really sees me and still wants to stay." I took her hand. "I'm not going anywhere." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "My mom called today. She said if I come home for Christmas and act normal, they'll pretend none of this happened." My stomach twisted. "What did you say?" I told her no. That I'm not pretending anymore. I squeezed her hand. "I'm proud of you." But that night, back in the motel, I woke to find her sitting on the floor, knees to chest, crying silently. When I knelt beside her, she whispered, "What if they're right? What if this is just a phase? What if I ruin my whole life for something that isn't real?" I cupped her face. "This is real. You're real. We're real." She searched my eyes. "How do you know?" "Because I've spent years loving you in silence. And every second of it hurt more than any rejection ever could. If this were a phase, I would have outgrown it by now." She nodded slowly, then leaned forward and kissed me. Deep, desperate, like she was trying to drown her doubts in me. We stayed like that until the sky turned pink. But the doubts didn't drown. Monday morning she went to work early. I stayed home trying to write. Anything to keep my mind off the gnawing fear that she would wake up one day and realize she wanted the life she'd left behind. At noon my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Ariana. A woman's voice tight with anger. This is Karen, Allison's mother. My heart slammed against my ribs. I don't know what you've done to my daughter, she said. But I want you to stop. She's confused. She's lost. And if you really cared about her, you'd let her go home where she belongs. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles whitened. With all due respect, Mrs. Harper, Allison is an adult. She makes her own choices. She's my child, Karen snapped. And I will not let some influence destroy her eternity. I swallowed bile. I love your daughter. I would never hurt her. You already have. The line went dead. I sat on the floor for a long time after that, staring at nothing. When Allison came home that evening, she found me still there. She dropped her bag and knelt in front of me. What happened? Your mom called. Her face drained of color. What did she say? I told her. Every word. She closed her eyes. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for her. I'm apologizing for dragging you into this war. I reached for her hand. I chose to be here. She looked at me, eyes shining. I don't know how to fight them and keep you at the same time. You don't have to choose. But we both knew that wasn't true. That night she didn't sleep. I felt her staring at the ceiling for hours. When I finally asked if she was okay, she whispered, I think I need to go see them. Face to face. One last time. My chest tightened. You sure? No. But I can't keep running. I nodded. I'll go with you. She shook her head. I need to do this alone. If you're there, they'll just blame you more. I hated it. Hated every part of it. But I said, okay. She left the next morning. Kissed me goodbye like it was any other day. I didn't hear from her for 3 days. On the 4th day she texted, coming home tonight. We need to talk. When she walked through the door, she looked like she hadn't slept in a week. She set her keys down carefully like they might break. They offered me a deal, she said. Come home. Go to counseling. Fix myself. And they'll forgive everything. I stood frozen. And I told them no. Relief flooded me. Thank God. But, she took a shaky breath. They said if I don't, they're cutting me off. Financially. Completely. No more help with rent, no more car insurance, no more anything. They said I can come crawling back when I'm ready to be their daughter again. I crossed the room and pulled her into my arms. We'll figure it out. I have savings. We'll get you on my insurance. We'll make it work. She clung to me. I'm so tired, Ariana. I know. We stood like that for a long time. But the exhaustion in her voice never left. The next 2 months were a slow bleed. Allison found a new job, lower pay, longer hours, but it came with health benefits. She sold her car and we shared mine. We stopped eating out, canceled subscriptions, learned how to stretch a grocery budget. Every penny felt like a reminder of what she had lost. She tried to hide how much it hurt, but I saw it in the way she flinched when her phone rang with an unknown number, in the way she stared at old family photos on her laptop late at night, in the way she sometimes woke up crying from dreams she wouldn't describe. I tried to be strong for both of us. I cooked her favorite meals, left notes in her lunch, held her when the panic attacks came. But inside I was terrified. Terrified she would wake up one day and decide the price was too high. One night we fought. It started small. She snapped at me for leaving dishes in the sink. I snapped back about how tired I was of walking on eggshells. Words flew like knives. You think this is easy for me? She shouted. You think I don't miss my family every single day? I know you do, I shot back. But you're acting like I forced you into this. I gave up everything for you. The silence that followed was worse than the yelling. She sank onto the couch, head in her hands. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I sat beside her, careful not to touch. You're allowed to be angry. Just don't aim it at me. She looked up, eyes red. I feel like I'm disappearing. Like the girl I used to be is dying and I don't know who's left. I took her hand. You're still you. Just more honest. She laughed bitterly. Honest and broke. Honest and alone. You're not alone. But the words felt hollow. The next week she started going to therapy. Not the kind her parents wanted. The kind that helped her untangle guilt from love, shame from truth. She came home lighter some days, heavier others. One evening she sat me down. My therapist asked me what I would do if my parents never changed their minds. She said. I couldn't answer. I waited. I keep thinking if I went back, apologized, said it was a phase, they'd take me back. I'd have my family again. My old life. My heart cracked. And me. She looked at me, tears spilling. I don't want to lose you. But I don't know how to live without them either. I swallowed hard. You don't have to decide tonight. But the question hung between us like smoke. Christmas came. I spent it with my own family, small, accepting, loud. Allison stayed home alone. She said she couldn't face the pity in my parents' eyes. When I got back, I found her curled on the couch, staring at a blank TV screen. I called my mom, she whispered, just to hear her voice. She answered. Then she hung up when she realized it was me. I sat beside her. Said nothing. There was nothing to say. New Year's Eve we watched the ball drop from my balcony. Fireworks exploded over the river. She leaned against me. I love you, she said. More than I ever thought possible. I love you too. But the words felt fragile. Like they could shatter if we breathed too hard. In February she got a promotion. More money. A little breathing room. For the first time in months she smiled without shadows. Then came the letter. It arrived on a Tuesday. Official stationery from her father's law firm. Inside, a check for $10,000 in a single sentence. For your trouble. Consider this severance from the family. No signature. Just his initials. Allison stared at it for a long time. They're buying me out, she said. Like I'm an employee they can fire. I reached for her. She pulled away. I need space, she said. Just a few days. She packed a bag and left for a friend's place. I didn't stop her. For 3 days I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and replayed every moment, wondering where I had failed her. On the 4th day she came back. She looked different. Calmer. Resolved. I've been thinking, she said. About what I want. Really want. I braced myself. I want you, she said. But I also want peace. And I don't think I can have both right now. My throat closed. I'm not leaving, she continued quickly. I need to stop fighting ghosts. I need to stop waiting for them to love me again. I need to build something new. With you. If you'll still have me. Relief crashed over me so hard I almost fell. I'll have you, I whispered. Always. She stepped forward and kissed me. Slow, certain, like she was sealing a promise. But promises, I was learning, are only as strong as the people keeping them. Spring arrived with rain and renewal. We moved into a bigger apartment, one with 2 bedrooms in case we ever needed space. We painted the walls soft gray, hung plants, made it ours. Allison started volunteering at an LGBTQ center. She led support groups for people newly out, shared her story without flinching. Watching her stand in front of strangers and say, I lost my family so I could find myself, made my chest ache with pride. But pride doesn't pay rent. The money from her father ran out faster than we expected. Medical bills from a minor surgery she'd postponed for years. Car repairs. Life. One night she came home with takeout and a bottle of cheap wine. I got a second job, she announced. Weekends at the coffee shop down the street. I frowned. You're already exhausted. I know. But we need the money. We can cut back more. She shook her head. I don't want to live like we're surviving. I want us to live. So she worked. And I worked. And slowly the strain crept back in. We argued about small things, whose turn it was to do laundry, why she left her shoes in the hallway, why I never wanted to go out anymore. The fights ended in apologies and make-up kisses, but the apologies started feeling rehearsed. One Saturday she had off. We planned a picnic in the park. Halfway there she got a call from her brother. She stepped away to take it. When she came back her face was pale. He's getting married, she said. In June. They're inviting me. As long as I come alone. I felt the air leave my lungs. And I told him I'd think about it. I stared at her. You're considering going without me? It's his wedding, Ariana. My little brother. I haven't seen him in over a year. You can see him. Just not at the cost of hiding me. She looked away. It's not that simple. It is that simple. Silence stretched between us. I don't want to lose him too, she whispered. You won't lose him by being honest. You don't know that. I turned and walked away. She didn't follow. That night I slept on the couch. She slept in the bedroom. The wall between us felt thicker than ever. The next morning she found me in the kitchen. I'm not going, she said. I told him I can't come unless I can bring you. Relief warred with anger. Thank you. But I hate this, she continued. I hate that I have to choose between my family and the woman I love. I hate that loving you means losing everything else. I reached for her. She let me. I hate it too, I said. We held each other for a long time. June came. The wedding happened without her. She spent the day volunteering at the center, then came home and cried in the shower so I wouldn't hear. After that, something shifted. She stopped checking her parents' social media, stopped jumping when her phone rang, stopped flinching at the word family. She started calling my parents mom and dad, started planning holidays with them, started building a new circle. Friends who accepted us both, no questions asked. But the scars remained. One night in August we lay in bed, windows open to the cicadas. Do you ever regret it? I asked. She turned to face me. Regret loving you? Never. Regret leaving them? She was quiet for a long time. Sometimes. In the weak moments. But then I look at you and I remember why I stayed. I kissed her forehead. I'm glad you stayed. Me too. But the weak moments still came. In October her mother had a stroke. Mild but enough to scare everyone. Her brother called. She's asking for you, he said. Allison stared at the phone like it was a grenade. I sat beside her. You should go. She shook her head. If I go, they'll think they won. That I'm crawling back. If you don't go, you might never forgive yourself. She cried then, hard, ugly sobs. I held her through it. The next day she booked a flight. Alone. I'll be back in 3 days, she said. I promise. I nodded. I trust you. She kissed me goodbye at the airport. Long desperate. I watched her disappear through security and felt the ground tilt beneath me. For 3 days I barely slept. On the 4th day she texted. Flight delayed. Home tomorrow. No explanation. When she finally walked through the door she looked hollow. She's okay, she said. But she wouldn't see me. That met me in the lobby. Said if I wanted to visit, I had to come alone and promise not to mention you. I felt something inside me break. And I told him no. I told him I love you. That you're my family now. And if they can't accept that, they don't get me. She started crying. He said I was selfish. That I was choosing sin over salvation. I pulled her close. You chose love. She clung to me. It doesn't feel like love right now. It feels like dying. I didn't know what to say. So I just held her. Winter came again. This time we faced it together. We decorated a tiny tree, hung stockings, made gingerbread cookies that tasted like cardboard but made us laugh. On Christmas Eve we video called my parents, then sat on the floor exchanging gifts, small things, thoughtful things. A journal for her. A necklace for me with our initials entwined. At midnight she kissed me under the string lights. I'm happy, she whispered. Even if it hurts sometimes. I'm happy too. But happiness is not a straight line. In January she started having panic attacks again. Waking up gasping, convinced her parents were right. Convinced she was broken. I sat with her on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. Rubbing her back, telling her she was whole. Therapy helped. Time helped. Love helped. By spring she was steadier. She started writing essays about faith, family, identity. She published one anonymously on a queer Christian blog. The response was overwhelming. Messages from strangers who said her words saved them. She read them to me at night, voice thick with emotion. See, I said. You're not alone. She smiled real bright. Neither are you. Summer brought heat waves and long walks. We went back to the lake where it all began. Not to fish, just to sit on the dock and remember. She took my hand. I used to think love was supposed to be easy, safe. Now I know it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And the best. I kissed her knuckles. Worth it. She looked at me, eyes clear. Every tear. Every fight. Every night I thought I'd lose you. Yes. We stayed until sunset, then drove home with the windows down, singing off-key to old songs. Fall arrived. A year since the fishing trip. We celebrated quietly. Dinner on the balcony, wine, music low. She raised her glass. To us, she said. To choosing each other. Again and again. I clinked my glass against hers. To us. Later in bed, she traced my face with her fingertips. Do you think they'll ever come around? She asked. I was quiet. I don't know. She nodded. Me neither. But I'm done waiting for them to decide I'm worthy of love. I already have that. Right here. I pulled her closer. We fell asleep like that, tangled, safe, scarred but whole. Months later, on a quiet Sunday morning, she turned to me over coffee. I've been thinking, she said. I braced myself. I want to marry you, she said. Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday. When we're ready. When it feels right. My heart stuttered. Yes. She laughed. You didn't even let me finish. You don't need to. The answer's yes. She kissed me, soft, sweet, certain. And in that moment I knew we had survived the worst. Whatever came next, we would face it together. But love is never the end of the story. It's only the beginning. So here we are, two women who chose each other over everything else. And I still wonder sometimes, was it worth it? Was the pain, the loss, the endless fight worth the quiet mornings, the shared laughter, the certainty that someone sees you completely and stays? Was Allison right to walk away from her family so she could walk toward me? True or false?